Welcome to Thriving in Multifamily, a visionary podcast. I am your host, Lissi Daniels, and this episode today is brought to you by Multifamily Media Network. I am so thrilled to have not only a really great guest on my podcast, but a friend, entrepreneur now, been in the multifamily industry for years as we chat with this thought leader regarding leadership, growth, resilience, and perseverance in all areas. Please welcome Antoinette Williams, where she is now with the DECA Lash. She is the owner. Welcome, Antoinette.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so Antoinette, let's kind of dive in and talk a little bit. I remember always having this vision of talking about a podcast a long time ago. And so now to have you as a guest on your new adventure in entrepreneurship is really exciting. So kudos to you. I'm so excited for you.
I feel like it's a full circle moment for both of us.
Right?
Over the last couple of years, we've both been having these parallel conversations, and now here we are.
I know. It's funny how I always say you put things out there and you just never know what the universe is going to turn around and manifest for you. And I'm still learning and growing and building. So please, Antoinette, tell us your story, how you kind of, got into the industry, but then just, wanted to transition into your new adventure.
Well, I'll tell you, like most people in the industry, I did not grow up thinking that I would be in property management for almost 20 years. I had no idea, didn't major in it, didn't think about it, didn't even know it was a career. But I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I had businesses built in my mind
Yeah.
when I was like 8 years old and 15 and 20. And when I got into multifamily, a friend of mine was a property manager and I needed a job. So she gave me one as a leasing consultant. And and although I leasing was not for me because I was so introverted and I hated talking to people all the time. I hated that high touch environment. It just was not for me. But because I had an entrepreneurial mind, I could see all the different pieces. And it was like
Mm-hmm.
it connected for me that there was so much to learn in the industry. And in order for me to be able to grow and learn, I would have to be good at leasing so that I could
Mm-hmm.
excel in the industry. And I had a very blessed leasing career or multifamily career. I excelled pretty quickly. I went from leasing to assistant, property manager, so on and so forth, and became a regional within about 5 years. Eventually became a regional vice president and then a vice president of operations. And all the while, I just had in the back of my mind this, you are an entrepreneur. You're in property management right now, but you are an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. And in 2022, you and I went to a women's conference,
Yes, yes. That
and
was very powerful. That was a powerful conference.
it was an amazing conference. And one of the sessions that we went to, there was a woman talking about getting a coach
Mm-hmm.
and investing in yourself. And it was like a light bulb went off for me. And I thought, well, of course, why hadn't I thought about this? I have taken all the certifications, I have done all these other things, but I haven't invested in my one-on-one mentoring. And
Mm-hmm.
so I hired a coach at the beginning of 2023. And she really dared me to dream. And if you know anything about us property managers, all those of us who are in multifamily, we are busy. We don't have time to dream. We got things to do. There's a fire over here, and this person didn't come in, and that resident is upset. We don't have time to dream, let alone the fact that we have real lives. I
Yeah.
am a mother, I am a wife, I am so many other things. And she pushed me to dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, okay, fine. If I were going to do anything, I would want to maybe own a spa. And she led me down this path of seeking opportunities and talking to other entrepreneurs to even figure out what it would look like. And somehow, some way, I found a brand that I really believed in. I had always had a love for the beauty industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I found DECA Lash, there was just a connection. And the idea of the franchise model really worked for me as a first time business owner. So that's just kind of how I went from being in multifamily for nearly 20 years to
Oh,
now I'm owning my own business. And every day I wake up like, is this a real thing?
yes, it's a real thing. Oh, and you know what's wild is seeing you it come into fruition with you over those years, and from that women's empowerment conference, and just seeing that you took that nuggets from there and just build on that. And it's so important to have those coaches. I think we kind of talked about having certain people in your group that's really fruitful for you to help you grow. And I think one of them was a coach, a business coach, spiritual coach, mentors and all that. And it kind of goes into who has been your biggest inspirations as a mentor. And you kind of tapped into that a little bit that has influenced you throughout your career to be driven.
Oh my gosh, there's been so many people. I've had just an amazing opportunity to have people who really believed in me in my career. And what's interesting is that along the way, I don't necessarily recall like tens of people who were, there weren't tens and 20 people who thought that I was just so amazing. But there was always one or two who were
Hmm.
like, you are going to be someone, you're
Hmm.
going to be something.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could name a few of them, but I don't want to miss any names. So I won't start naming my industry people. But I mean, I remember a regional that I had when I worked for a company in Florida. I remember when I moved to Tampa, there was someone. There were two or three people when I was with a company a couple of years ago. But beyond multifamily, this is very cliche, but it almost brings tears to my eyes. My parents,
Oh.
um, you know, my dad has been a great influence in just pushing me to do whatever I wanted to do. And my mom, her life is influential to me.
Hmm.
She really started out, I remember she was a temp for a Hewlett Packard, and then ultimately had almost a 20-year career with them after being hired on pretty quickly after tipping. And so she just made something out of nothing. And I've always been focused on that, my dad telling me, why can't you do it? You can do
Hmm.
anything. And
Yeah.
my mom just showing me that anything could be done, that we are special, we
Mhm.
rise above and we can accomplish.
I love how you put that re-rise above, but just having that resilience and that support in your corner is so important. And so kudos to your parents for that inspiration that gives you to be who Antoinette is today. So I love that. So what keeps you motivated? I mean, you have all the stepping stones. I know you have to have this inner drive to be motivated, be like, okay, now is game time. So let's keep on going. But just in anything, what can you share in that arena as far as that?
I'm gonna go cliche again. My family. As you know, my husband and I have six children.
Mm-hmm.
Three of them are adults, and three of them are young and still in school. And the idea that we could be building a legacy for them is really what keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
And I know that at my core, I'm an achiever. I get, a rush out of doing the next thing, achieving the next thing,
Mm-hmm.
being great. And so when I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, which happens very, very often, or earlier, just thinking about ways that I can be better, ways that I can improve. I'm thinking about, in 10 years, in 15 years, in
Mm-hmm.
20 years, what will I be able to leave for my kids?
Mm. Yeah, I love that. It's funny you said 4 o'clock in the morning because I've been on this new world with my cousin, and she gets up at 4. First thing is she is opening the Bible, she is going through it, and then she's in there starting her day. And she goes, "Lisi, are you going to get up at 4?" I said, "Can we make it 6:30?" I was like, it's like I am still trying to get used to the early morning rise, but it does set the tone for the day. And it kind of leads into just being intentional, right? And what would you give someone or recommend someone out there of how to be intentional within their goals to stay on top of that? Because sometimes it's hard, you know?
Yeah, self-motivation is key.
Hmm.
There are people, there's if you think about college courses,
Hmm.
there are online courses and there are in-class courses,
Hmm.
right? Not everybody's built for online self-paced learning.
Yeah, yeah,
And so if you are not a self-motivated person, then this probably is not the life for you. And so
yeah,
it takes internal motivation. And I know that some challenges that can kind of get in the way of motivating oneself are things like imposter syndrome. So many people who are successful have dealt with and
yeah,
do deal with.
yeah,
I'm one of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
At every step of the way in my career, and even today, I'm like, am I good enough?
Mhm.
Am I cut out for this? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Why did I think that I could do this? And to your point about waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning praying, I'm like, Lord, why did you put me in this position? Like,
Yeah.
am I really the right person to do this? So I know that I am self motivated and I know that I can do this. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who can do it,
Mhm.
but we have to push past the hurdles of things like imposter
Yeah,
syndrome.
I totally agree with you on that. I think that's something I had struggled with for a long time in dealing with, knowing that I am capable, I can do this. There's and removing that doubt and that fear and stepping out and saying, why not? Right. And at the same time, really being grounded back into what is my intention? What is my purpose? What am I trying to focus and work towards? So I definitely like how you said that. And I will work on the 4 o'clock in the morning. That's
I'm actually trying to work on not getting up that early anymore. I'm trying to work on getting some regular sleep.
advice can you give our listeners that may be struggling to find their career path or their vision? Because sometimes not everyone is like, I'm going to wake up and not have that drive, or knowing what they want to do or how to do it.
Yeah. I'm an avid journaler, and just getting the thoughts from here to
Mm.
here
Ah,
out on paper. I mean, the what you want to be, who you are at your core lives here.
yeah.
And sometimes this gets in the way.
Mm,
And so if you can connect this and this and just put it on paper,
mhm,
eventually something will take shape.
mhm,
I would also say one of the greatest moves that I made in my career was getting a coach. And
mhm,
so just having someone to help me really mold my vision,
mhm.
and really give me guidance and stay on track and help me
Yeah.
be accountable. Those were things that really pushed me in the right direction. So my husband and I have known each other for 17 years, been married for almost 13. And from the time that he met me, I've been talking about being an entrepreneur. And there's no reason that I couldn't have 17 years ago or 15
Mhm.
years ago or 10 years ago. But I definitely believe that when I got a coach, things started to change in my life
Mhm.
because there was that sense of accountability. That there was the encouragement that I could do it.
Yeah.
There were options available for me that I just didn't even know existed because I was living in my own world. So I 100% think that having a coach or a mentor is beneficial.
Very, very much because I think they help you see things that you don't see, right? It's like taking you outside of your comfort zone and stretching those limits to be the best that you can be, that you can actually put forth into what your new adventure is right now. And at the same time, you're a coach, Antoinette, because you are paving the way for other individuals to show that, hey, I did this. Now I learned from all these areas from where I was in the industry. Now I stepped out and within your own business. So I think every little bit of insight is so helpful and fruitful for all. So let's kind of switch it up a little bit and just, I want to know what is a fun fact or something that is no one knows about Antoinette to kind of keep it,
Hmm.
lighthearted.
Something that no one knows. Actually, this isn't something that no one knows. A lot of people kind of know this, but your listeners may not know
Yes.
this. Uh, my family and I karaoke on a very regular basis. And we own a karaoke machine. And that is our favorite thing to do. And not one of us can sing, and we don't care. Uh, and I'm a pretty amazing dancer. I am a dance machine.
Add that to the list, right? So she can karaoke. She may not have the tune, but then she is a dancing machine. We could all do that. I think that's all about, life. You got to have fun in that moments of it, right? And let people know it's like, yes, we're about business and about success and working hard, but there's the fun side, right? That's
That's right.
the other part of that balance when it comes to your work life. And I think they're trying to change up the whole thing of work-life balance, but more about self-care. What do you do to keep yourself having where you can, it's like, okay, you know what? There's time for me to pull away, and then there's time for me to give, because sometimes not we don't always have that capacity. So what do you do when it comes to that self-care, as I would say, and that balance between the two?
Oh my goodness. I think I mentioned to you, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm now a
Mm-hmm.
business owner. I was a vice president. I am a friend. I am
Mm-hmm.
so many different things. And I think, especially for women, we take on so many different roles that we don't leave space for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the intentionality has to come into place,
Mm-hmm.
is that we have to be intentional about having a regular cadence of self-care.
Yeah.
And so whether that means getting your nails done or getting a pedicure or getting your lashes done.
There you go. I wasn't so far away. I'll be right there. Hook me up.
Or getting a facial, doing whatever, or doing none of those things, if that's not your thing, sitting in a park and journaling and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you are just at one with yourself,
Yeah.
with your spirituality. One thing that I learned a couple of years ago was about having a prayer closet and
Mm-hmm.
really setting up a space where I could go and I could just let loose. And it was appealing to me. It was physically appealing to me. It's pretty, it's comfortable. And so, whatever self care looks like to you, whatever feeds your soul, whatever fills your heart, is what you have to be intentional about. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are not intentional about taking care of yourself, you cannot, at your best, take care of all of the other things. I
Yeah.
mean, you can get it done
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we get it done,
Yeah.
but you can't do it at your very best.
No, you can't. I couldn't agree with you more, 100%. You touched on a lot of great nuggets, but it is about taking care of you first and foremost so you can be there and show and be present for others. And sometimes within everyday life, it does pull. And like you say, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're an entrepreneur, you got staff. That does take a lot, and you have to kind of pull yourself back into that journey and really reconnect with what your spirituality side is. And I think that's something I've been learning on my journey as well. And so, and a friend, you just said friend too, so I'm not going to count that out, but just always being there for someone. And I've learned this past weekend, I went to a conference about knowing how to show up for other people, but also knowing the capacity of other people and what you show up to. So what I mean in that sense is, hey, do you have the capacity and the time to be able to be there for me for this, and this? Or, hey, this, and being okay with that and not allowing expectations from friends to be able to where they fall short because you're already giving them that space for that. And I think that's so important. So you
You
hit
know
it
what's
right on the
funny
nail.
is as I have gotten older, I have become more empathetic of other people, of the things that I don't know about other people,
Yes.
because we all show up as the person we want the world to see, right?
Right?
And we know that behind our closed doors, it might be messy sometimes, or it may not look as perfect as we want to present.
Yeah.
And I think in my younger years, I didn't consider that that were the truth for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me. I was just behind closed doors
Yeah.
looking all crazy.
Yeah.
When in fact, everybody has their thing. And so sometimes if people can't show up, if they don't have the capacity to show up for you, it's not because they don't want to show up for
Yeah.
you, that they don't desire to show up for you. There's so much that everybody has going on. Show a
Hmm.
little empathy and extend a little grace.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. And you hit it right on the nail. And I think if more people was able to remove the mask and reveal the authenticity of what life is, and it is a struggle, there's ups and downs, there's great points, then yeah, that's what it's all about. So I think that's so empowering, Antoinette, is what you were saying. So how do you continue to empower, because you're empowering me like you always do when we have our moments, but how do you empower others in your community or your workplace to reach their full potential?
I think transparency and authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other reasons why I was so adamant about being able to step into entrepreneurship and
Mm-hmm.
build a business where I could pour into other people is because at my core, my passion is being a leader.
Yeah.
And I love pouring into people. I love I love supporting people and watching them grow and watching them flourish and float off into the sunset. I have never been the type of leader who wanted to keep people in a box, who wanted to build
Yeah.
people up and keep them to myself forever and ever. Amen. Right? Um, I I try to show up as honestly and transparent as
Mm-hmm.
I possibly can so that people will reciprocate
Mm-hmm.
and it breaks down some of the walls so that I
Mm-hmm.
can pour into and empower people to be their authentic selves.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of taps into embracing individuals with their unique talents and being now like you've been a leader with teams. How do you now transition that within your business to embrace others? Or what can you tell someone like, hey, go for this? You know, your talents are something within their dreams.
So funny that you ask. I have a current situation. One of my lash artists is an aspiring actress and singer, and she's also an amazing lash artist. Like she
Hmm.
is so great. And some of the conversations that I've had with her are, I want you for as long as it is meant to be, but
Hmm.
I fully expect you to spread your wings and be just great.
Yeah.
And so the way that I operate my business is very similar to the way I operated in multifamily. I have one on one meetings with my
Hmm.
team on a very regular basis. We have weekly team meetings,
Hmm.
and then we have coaching sessions whenever necessary. So, our one on ones are intended to build people up and give them feedback and give them an opportunity to provide feedback. And it's just our time to connect.
Yeah.
Coaching comes into place when maybe there's something that needs to be corrected. Maybe there's something that could be different. Maybe it's not wrong, but it could be better or different.
Hmm.
And then our team meetings are generally for the purpose of just kind of information giving.
Yeah.
So I I lead my business just like I led in multifamily so
Hmm.
that people understand that this is a space for them to grow.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you've given them that space to grow because I think that's what nourishes it. That's what you're already planting those seeds for them to become bigger in whatever direction. And I love the fact that you're like, even though they're great at what they do, if they aspire to something more, you're training and coaching them up to be able to get to that next point. And that's embracing the unique talents as a leader that I think is amazing as well. Okay, so what ways has becoming an entrepreneur, okay, has challenged you to really push your boundaries? Because I know it has not been just like, oh yeah, because I've had many conversations. So I'm going to tap that one into with you. Take a break if you have to.
Lacey, Lacey, I'm being stretched. I'm being stretched. I will tell you that I had this image
Hmm.
of what this would be. And I wrote down on paper what my plan was. I had a whole business plan. Okay. I spent time working on this business plan.
I can
And there
imagine.
have been there have been so many curveballs that I just didn't anticipate would take more of my time than the things that I really want to do. So I will tell you very transparently, I had always thought about running a business.
Yeah.
I had always known that I could do well running a business. I had never once thought about what it would take to start a business. And so getting a
Ah,
business off the ground is very different than
yeah.
keeping it going, right? And so where I'm being stretched is with patience in
Mm.
the process. And I have I'm diving into all things marketing because prior to just a few months ago, I was not some big, social media chick. It's not my jam. Um, I just have always felt kind of uncomfortable with it. And now I'm having to do social media marketing myself and in conjunction with the advertising agency that I work with and the corporate franchise,
Mhm.
the corporate folks. I'm having to work with everybody to make sure that social is right
Yeah.
and trying to figure out which levers I can afford to pull
Yeah. Yes.
for marketing.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of stuff out there. And if I had all the money in the world, I would be advertising everywhere and everyone would know that I'm here. But it's trying to figure out the right formulas
Mhm.
for my business right now. And
Mhm.
that has been extremely frustrating for me because I'm like, just the other day, I posted something on social media, 3 people saw it.
Okay, all right, 3 people liked it, or you got 3 impressions. We gotta kind of make it.
I got 3 impressions. I got 3 impressions in the first like 12 hours. And I was like, why isn't anybody seeing it? And so it was, 3 impressions, Lissi, and 1 like at the time.
I think sometimes we are known in the world of social media that we want things to move fast and things do take time, and it's the consistency. I think someone was telling me about that. It's the consistency of it, and it will grow. But you're right. When you are stretched in different levels and areas that you may not have to focus on, and in the industry prior in multifamily, and then coming in to run your own business, yeah, you learn a lot. Trust me, I've learned a lot. And there's things I'm like, how am I going to leverage this up? Okay, you know what? This may be not 2024 leveraging, but this is going to be 2025. But I totally can
Yeah.
understand that. But
But let me tell you where my consistency comes in,
yeah,
where I've always been consistent, is I don't know much about marketing and social media, but I am a student of it right now.
hey,
I am listening to every podcast, reading every book, talking to every person, um, reaching out to people, reaching out to every agency. I'm talking to so many people specifically about marketing because that is what I don't know.
yeah.
The things that I do know, I can do in my sleep, but the things
Mhm.
that I don't know, I become a student of.
Ah,
And whether I was in multifamily, moving up into a new position that I had no idea how to do, I became a student of that position. If I was in a new market,
mm,
I became a student of that new market.
mhm.
And now I'm in a new realm and I'm a student of the things that I am unfamiliar with.
I love that. Man, that should have been a drop your mic moment because it is the truth. You becoming a student of something that you're passionate about and you're learning. And that's the truth. Nothing's going to just come handed and you're not going to know everything. You're going to have to learn. That's that ever evolving of learning and growth that I absolutely love. And I can totally relate to that. So hey, everyone out there, you remember you got to be a student. You got to be a student and continuously learn and grow no matter where you at in your career path versus from the level. Always learn, always sit there, do your research and find it out. And that's only going to make you better, right, Antoinette? I think you said
That's
it
right.
perfectly on that end. All right, Antoinette, this has been amazing. I got one more amazing question that I would love for the audience out there to know is if you can leave one lasting thought, an affirmation, your mantra to the world, what would that be? And yeah, how can our listeners stay visionary?
There's a quote in my office that is by Toni Morrison that says, if you can't imagine it, you can't have it. So I would dare everyone in your audience to dream.
I love that. All right, there you have it, everyone. Again, thank you so much, Antoinette, for coming on to my podcast, Thriving in Multifamily, a visionary podcast. And if you're in the area, go ahead, Antoinette, plug people in about your company.
We are DECA Lash in Stonebridge Ranch, which is in McKinney, Texas. We are having our grand opening on November 9th. So please come by.
Yes, there you go. I may have to take a flight. But, anyways, thank you, everyone. And as always, stay visionary out there, people. Bye now.